So despite my complaints about some games running at 30 frames per second, mainly due to the lack of optimization on consoles, there's also some games that really show the power of these next-gen systems, how capable these next-gen systems really are. And Call of Duty is one of such games. Let's look into this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So last week wasn't really great when it comes to talking about these next-gen systems performance. Plague Tale, 1440p 30 frames per second, Gotham Knights, 4K 30, yeah it's 4K but still 30, so I've got nothing to complain about when it comes to graphics in these games. But performance is not really that great, let's face it. And yes, performance 40 FPS doesn't really help much because most people don't have 120 Hertz TVs really in their homes. Most people still use 60 Hertz monitors or TVs. But then again, there's also some games that actually do show how capable these next-gen systems are, and I'm talking about all of them really: Xbox Series S, X, PlayStation 5, although, you know, obviously Xbox Series X is the most powerful of the bunch and most capable, I guess, at least when it comes to like performance, graphics and that kind of stuff, right? And so that's why I want to talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, because this game not only looks great but also runs great on these consoles. So I've got some benchmarks, I've got some numbers from El Analista de Bits, and he's a very good YouTuber out there, always providing us with some fun numbers to talk about. And obviously there's a video to watch for you guys. You can see the graphics comparisons, you can check the actual performance, how well these games, this game runs on all these consoles. And for the most part, like when it comes to the, let's call it quality mode, I guess, so 4K 60 or 1440p 60 on Xbox Series S, these modes are flawless 60 frames per second on all these consoles, right? So that's not a problem there. So that in that mode, like 1440p, I think, 1440p 60 on Series S and 4K 60 on Series X, that's what we actually getting in the let's call it, you know, quality mode, right? And obviously we're talking about reconstruction rendering over here, so it's not like native 4K or native 1440p. So Call of Duty is known for using this reconstruction rendering thing, right? And that's fine, because like it's really more about performance rather than like super sharp image, although I like these games to be nice looking and sharp, of course. But also let's talk about that other mode, which is 120 frames per second mode, and that mode is available on all these consoles. But there's some differences when it comes to performance, right? So first off, all console versions use temporal reconstruction rendering according to El Analista de Bits, and it also, they use dynamic resolution, so in horizontal axis, and that means that even though we are getting 4K on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and 1440p on Xbox Series S, well, the internal resolution may actually change, right? So that's why they are reconstructing that whatever internal resolution to 1440p or 4K on Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, right? So bear with that in mind. So obviously there may be a bit different resolution, I mean not resolution but clarity or image quality differences between these consoles. And also he says that Xbox Series X maintains a higher average resolution than PlayStation 5. So he's talking about that internal resolution, right? Which is higher on Xbox Series X. And that's kind of like a standard really on console, on this console. Hey, 12 teraflops actually are at work here. Then when it comes to graphic settings, very similar to high ultra settings on PC. Series X apparently have got a slightly higher shadows quality in the distance in comparison to PlayStation 5. I would imagine same goes to Xbox Series S. I mean, Xbox Series X is probably better than Series S. There's some clipping and ambient occlusion on Xbox Series S and reflections and stuff. He talks about 120 Hz mode. Obviously, that mode actually reduces average resolution and also quality of shadows. So here's another thing, like the image quality, even though it will be reconstructed to 4K on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X in 120 frames per second mode, the internal resolution will be much lower than in that 60 frames per second mode, right? The internal resolution. So you will lose a little bit of clarity when it comes to actually image quality, right? Then he talks about Xbox Series X that shows a clear advantage in 120 Hz mode, keeping 120 frames per second almost constant, while PlayStation 5 drops below 105 and Series X rarely goes above 90 frames per second. So yeah, Xbox Series X is a clear winner here, really, in both resolution and graphics and performance, really. PlayStation 5 is in the middle, and Series S comes last. And I did, when you actually watch the video, you actually see a clear advantage that Xbox Series X has got in terms of frames, right? It's not a stable, like locked 120. But these drops below 120 are rather small, right? When PlayStation 5 goes down to like almost 100 frames per second sometimes, right? But there's also some sections where it's 120, of course, right? But it's just like more pleasant experience on Xbox Series X, I guess, right? So yeah, looks like these 12 teraflops actually show its power, and of course I'm just joking around because it's not all about teraflops. It's just part of it. CPU, memory, system. Seems like it's not really that bad, I guess. And I'm not even sure if this is a proper I wouldn't really even call it like a proper next-gen game, I guess. Is it a cross-gen title still? I didn't even check. I would think so, right? But I don't know. Either way, this game is a treat. It looks really, really good on, well, consoles and PC. And it's, like I said, it's a stark, I think that's how you say it, stark contrast in to these games that, yeah, they are beautiful, like, especially Plague Tale Requiem. That's a one hell of a looking game. Really, really nice looking game. But 30, and I think that's it has all to do with the optimization. And I don't really want to blame it on developers per se, because developers have got only limited budget, limited time to finish the game, timelines, and deadlines, really, so on. Asobo, for example, is not really a huge studio. I guess WB Montreal, I think they made Gotham Knights. I mean, they are bigger studio, so I guess maybe we should blame them, I guess. But either way, listen, at the end of the day, it's not all bad news when it comes to these next-gen systems, or should I really say current-gen systems. I am fully aware that moving forward, we will actually see more 30 frames per second games on these consoles. We're not really going to avoid it, because at the end of the day, there will be always some devs that will push graphics too much, that will obviously sacrifice performance over resolution or graphics or whatever, right? But I still think that this generation is going to be much better when it comes to games running at higher frames in comparison to last generation, right? Because, like, yes, huge, big open world RPGs may be 30 sometimes here and there. Well, worst case scenario, I'll play on PC, right? I mean, it's not really a bad thing, really. But I know that not everyone has a decent PC to play these games at 60, for example, and it's always nice to have these options. So I think for me personally, a big test will be Starfield. I think this game will tell us a lot, and also Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, they did say that that Hellblade 2 is supposed to be like a more open game, not necessarily like a proper open world, not like Assassin's Creed, of course. But I think that like games next year will tell us way more about these consoles and their potential capabilities than what we're actually getting right now, because we are still suffering a little bit because of the virus and that kind of stuff. Development has been delayed so many times, and it shows, right? I'm actually glad that we're actually getting any games right now, really. But yeah, next year is going to be interesting, not only because we are going to get a ton of games, but also there's going to be more and more games that will be current gen only. So hopefully these developers will have more time to focus only on these consoles, their capabilities, new technologies and stuff, and hopefully that will start showing next year with these games. So anyway guys, that's the video. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for support. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.